And hey, welcome here. In the last lecture, we have initialized our projects. In this one, we'll be talking about nodes. Let's begin. Okay, let's create here a very simple node. So on the left side, you see here, create a root node. We are going with a 2D scene. So click here, 2D scene. And at the root of this, in the hierarchy will be a node 2D. Okay? So what we actually did right now, we have created our first node, and up here you see you have something unsaved. Okay, you see here there's something unsaved here. So when I'm going to save it, so how we can save it? You can click here Control S or Command S on your keyboards, and this will prompt me to save this. The default folder path says here res : / That's our root folder here. Okay, see here. So we can be here. We can stay here in this folder. We don't want to create any folders yet. Just stay in the default one here. And we will call this node 2D, but we will call this play_scene. And you see the ending of this is tscn. Just click here save. Okay. So what we just did is that we have created a new scene. I was talking about the nodes, but the first thing that we have created is scene. So what is a scene? You see, and at this scene, play scene, we have as a root node, node 2D. You know, in a Godot, everything is set up into the scenes. So all of your nodes you create, they must belong to some scene. So for example, here will be our play scene. Okay, so under this node 2D, I will be creating, for example, there will be node which will define my tile map. Okay, this will be my map. This can be maybe grass. Okay, so just a green color. This will be my grass, for example. I will create a node, tile map node. All right, and tile map node, I will create this grass texture. Okay, then later, maybe I want to create some stones on the ground. So I will create again new nodes. I'll create here new nodes, and I'll create some stones, okay, some boulders. And all of this will be node, okay? And then maybe I want to have in scene a house. So I will go with the house, or the blue house, I don't know why, but we'll have here some house. And the house will be also a node, okay? So what we are seeing here is this root scene. Okay, so this will be this node. I'll choose a different color. Okay, so this will be this node 2D as the root node, and this will be organized into the scene. So here, as I mentioned, we will be creating, for example, tile map. This will be also node, so it will be tile map. There will be another node, and this will be, for example, rock 1, or rock 2, and so on, and the house, and so on. So you can see all of these are nodes under this root node, because there has to be a root node. And when you will save it, this here together will be stored into the scene, into this format here, tscn. So under the play scene, you will have this structure here. Okay. And each scenes can be executed, can be run. Okay, so you can actually play your game. This I will be talking about shortly. So what we have here, the draw here will be our scene. Under the scene, we'll have a different nodes that are grouped into this scene. I will give you an example because I can talk about this forever and you will not understand it. So as I mentioned, here is our play scene. In the play scene, we'll have, let's say, we'll have here some rocks. So I will create here. I'll click on the right, click here node 2D and add child node. By the way, there's a shortcut also Control A or Command A to open this, or just click here, right click here and add child node. And let's say we'll get here a sprite 2D node. Okay, so here a sprite 2D node. If you don't know where it is, it's here. You can just zoom in with a mouse. So your scroll button, middle button, you can just scroll it to get closer. Or on touchpad, just, yeah, you know what to do. Okay, so that's your sprite 2D. It's not very visible. So this icon SVG, what you see in your resource folder here in the file system on the left side, drag this icon SVG to the texture here in the sprite 2D. Okay, because all the nodes, when you will select the node here for sprite 2D, you see they have some configuration on the right side. So we can just change the offset, animation, region, transforms, visibility, and so on and so on. But you can see this is our sprite 2D, and we can move it, okay, around. So when you click inside, you can move it, okay. And here comes all these buttons here, what you have in this top menu here, this here. Okay, so this button is for selection tool. First one, you can select something, and then I can move it around. Okay, but be careful, because we have moved it outside of, we didn't move it outside, but we select, you can see we selected here this node here, our root node, and we have selected also this one here. So we were moving both of them here. You can see this is our node 2D, which is an empty node. There is nothing attached to it, but here is our sprite node. So if you want to put everything back to its original position, so you can click just this node 2D here. You can select it and transform. You can see we change the position. You can see that each node in the scene has an X and Y position, and I can change it. When the position is 0, 0, that's exactly the middle of your screen. You can see now it's in the middle. But I will be changing it, increasing, it will be moving right. It will be decreasing and moving left. It will be changing Y position, the same thing. Okay, it's moving up, down, right, left. So place it where it was. We will be careful with this. We will be not moving the root node, node 2D, because it will be moving also our other nodes. So just select sprite 2D, and now we can move it separately without our node 2D. Okay, so node 2D actually will be call it play scene, like this, because that will be our playing scene. And in play scene we can put multiple things here. So for example, this sprite 2D we can duplicate. I will just press your Control or Command D on it, and this will duplicate, but now they are under each other. So just select and move it out. Control D, and again select and move it out. Control D, select and move it out. And these are play scene. We can save everything and we can create a new scene. For example, here, down here you see, we can create a new scene this way, or we can just click here this plus button next to the play scene, like this. It will create a new scene. We need to first create a root node. So again, we can go with a 2D scene. There's a node 2D. We can call this node player. This will be our player. And we can get it here again, sprite. So I'll add here child node, or Command A or Control A, and click here sprite 2D. And again, attach icon SVG here. And here it is. Okay. And yeah, we can maybe change the color of it if it's possible. Color should be a region, no. Visibility here, modulate and self-modulate. No, modulate it should be, and I should be able to change the colors a little bit. Okay, like this. Doesn't really matter, just choose something randomly. So this will be our player. You see? Now we can save it. Just Control S or Command S. And here we can save our player.tscn. And now you can see we have two scenes composing. So we have a player scene, which is composed of this sprite 2D node. When I will double click our play scene, this scene composed of 4 sprite 2D nodes. So you can see each scene is different. But also I can bring one scene into another one. So if I want, I can get this player TSC and I can drag it and drop it into my play scene. Just get it, drag and drop it into your play scene like this. And now here you see you have a player also. Okay, so that's your player now. Okay, so when you want to change your player, you need to change it in your player scene. So here you have a very convenient button, open in editor, you see next to the player, because it's a scene. All of your other nodes, they don't have it, but only your player, because it's a separate scene. We can click it and it will open our player scene. And you can also see it in top menu. You have here a play scene and a player scene. So as you now see, scenes are nothing more just the containers for your nodes. At the root of each scene, you have some root node, usually node 2D, or it can be also node, it doesn't have to be node 2D. And yeah, so we have our play scene, play, and player. And each consists of different nodes. And this is very good for reusability, because if I want to create an enemy, all right, I don't need to recreate my enemy every time I want to create it. I just need to create an enemy scene that will consist of multiple nodes, right? Multiple nodes. And then I can bring this enemy into my, for example, play scene, right? Okay, and under the enemy scene, I will have all of these nodes already pre-configured. So if I will have a multiple enemies, I don't need to change all of my enemies. I just need to change my enemy scene, and all of the enemies will be updated. Okay, so you have this composability feature here in Godot. Okay, something similar as a prefabs. But the prefabs you cannot execute, but actually scenes you can execute. I will show you what I mean by executing. You can actually run your game from any scene, but we don't need to bother about it right now. Okay, so that's about a scene. So scenes, containers for nodes. Nodes have different, give different functionality or different configuration to your scene. So if you have a player scene, our player can have a node sprite2d, which will be responsible for displaying how the player looks like. Then we have maybe animation node, which will be responsible for animations of the player. Then we can have a node for our movement, which will be responsible for movement. Then we have a node for the health, and the health node will be responsible for health. So you can see, as if I want to add features to my root node, to my scene, to my player scene, for example, I just need to add nodes to it. So there is this composable parameter. Okay, I will leave it here. Maybe before we'll finish this lecture, we can check some of the buttons up here. So here, as I said, this is for selection. You're just selecting multiple things at once. And next to it is the move mode, W. When you click it, you can just simply, wait a second. Here, you can see this axis. I didn't see it because I was too much zoomed in. But when you zoom out a little bit more, and you have this move mode, you can see your axis, and you can drag it by the x-axis and by the green axis, y-axis. And you can just move it around. Okay, but you cannot select. You see with this, I can select. With this, I cannot. It's already selected here, like this. Okay, actually, I changed the location of this player node. When you click on the player transform, yeah, let's keep it 0, 0. Root node should be always unchanged, so it should be 0, 0. When you want to change something, you should be changing the sprite node. Okay. Then we have a rotation next to it. So the third one is rotate mode, E shortcut. And now you can simply rotate. Okay. Change the rotation. And then you have a scale mode, S. Click at this and you can scale it. Okay, so you can change the size of it. And also you have different options here. This I will not be talking much about because I don't even know what this is. Show list of selectable nodes at position. Click. Okay, so this should, yeah. You see when you have this selected, you can click it, and it will show you all of the nodes you have here. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Here we have. Okay, we can go over all of them. So here is a pivot point. I think each object has a pivot point. So the pivot point is a point. You will see. So we will change a pivot point here. So pivot point currently is in here in middle. You see, there's a pivot point. When I change a pivot point here, for example, or here, whenever you click, you will change your pivot point from the sprite2d. Okay, and I'll click here this movable tool here, like this. You see, the pivot point is here, so we'll be moving the pivot point. There is offset. Okay. So pivot point you can imagine as an attach point that you are grabbing your sprite and moving it around. And since this pivot point is here, that's how it looks like. Ideally, pivot point should be in the middle of the sprite or in the middle of the node. Okay, and then rotation the same. You can see we'll be rotating like this way. You see, rotating on the pivot point, which is completely different as when the pivot point was in the middle. Okay, the rotation is not exactly how you would maybe want to have it, but in some effects, okay, maybe you want to have this pivot point detached. Okay, Maybe you are creating the roller coaster effect or something like this, and you want to have a pivot point in the middle and around these different objects, right? And then you will be rotating this like this. Okay, but ideally I said click on the pivot point and ideally put it in the middle here. If you don't know how to place it exactly in the middle, just go on the right side here, go to offset, and here you have offset 5 and 21. And that's your pivot point. So change it to 0, 0. Like this. And now you can see that its pivot point is exactly in the middle of your object. So now when we'll be moving it and rotating it, it will be rotating just correctly. Okay, so we have this. Then we have this pen mode. So just that's how you can go around on your screen. Then you have a ruler, so you can measure things. Okay, then you have this magnetic tool, so a snapping tool. Okay, when you change the second, when you click on the second snapping tool, then I will be moving my object. So I will click here, this movable icon on top. You can see it will be snapping to the grid. Okay, so this is snapping. Just deselect it. Then you can lock your object. So when you will lock it, now you cannot move it. You cannot do anything with it. You cannot touch it. So you need to unlock it. So click here, unlock, so you can move it again. Then we have here select group selected nodes. Okay, so if we have multiple nodes as a children, this will select everything together. Okay, but we don't have any other nodes, so we can just deselect it. All right, and then we have a skeleton options. We don't have any bones here. That's when you have a rig with the bones. Then you can control the bones and you can see the bones on the object, on the mesh, but we have just simple sprites, so there are no bones. Okay, so hopefully this clears out. Okay, still first task applies after this lecture, so just go around the scenes, go to play scene, go to player scene, try to move your object, so explore all these tools up here, the entire row. If something is not clear, just let me know, okay? So just play with it. You can remove the player, even create a new player. Just you see here, we have scenes as we have them. Just get familiar yourself. So you are very comfortable working in Godot and you are familiar with this left side of our tooling and top bar here. Okay, so I see you next one. Cheers.